Welcome to the new Change Your Filter. I'm one of the new hosts, Scott Ossim, and along with Lisa Forrest from our partners team, we're going to be putting out alternating episodes a couple of times a month. And what a treat we have for the very first episode here with Brigham Dickinson, Power Selling Pros. Brigham, welcome to the show. Why don't you introduce yourself to the crowd real quick?
Brigham Dickinson, Power Selling Pros. We train technicians and CSRs. We monitor their calls. We provide coaching to them on a regular basis using all the technology that people invest in but are not using. So yeah, we coach them to create wow experiences over the phone as well as inside the customer's home. And we've been doing it for the last 18 years.
Awesome. And we'll get into those wow experiences. And I've got a few of the materials from Power Selling Pros and especially that wheel pulled up. We'll dig into that for the contractors listening, really focused today on that top of funnel, that first interaction and coming with a lot of energy. We've got the 8-wheel at the ready there. But before we dig into any of that, I'd love to hear just a little bit more about, yourself starting the business. I know you said 18 years ago now, coming off of a failed business and really just sat down and kind of put together that wheel and put together your ethos. I'd love to hear a bit more about your journey just to being inspired for Power Selling Pros and marching forward with this idea.
Well, I appreciate that. So it was in Lakeland, Florida. I was coming off of a failed business. I thought it was going to be awesome, Scott. I thought it was going to be incredible, but it wasn't. It was 2008. You could blame it on the housing market crashing, but it really didn't have much to do with that. It was just a bad idea. It was a bad merger. Yeah, it was difficult. It was hard. It was one of those times where you got to pick yourself up off the ground. It's tough because I had a season pass to Disney World, supposedly the happiest place on earth. When all this was going down, we were paying in the employees without ourselves. I think it was the 5th month in a row, and we were kind of seeing the writing on the wall. And it was tough. It was tough. It was a tough deal for me for sure. Decided that if we were going to go through this difficult time, I needed to get back home to Utah where extended family was so that they could kind of help me support my wife and kids as I figured this out, right? So I drove back home first to Utah from Florida, left my wife and kids in Florida with a friend for a couple of weeks. So I figured out where we were going to live and so on and so forth. And so I was sleeping on a cot in my brother-in-law's basement. On that cot, I kind of got up one morning and started thinking about something. And I had been studying and reading, and I'm talking business books and religious books and you name it. I was really soul searching, trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do to essentially start over and provide for the family, so on and so forth. And there was a card table right next to the cot. And I sat down at the card table and I started drawing out the first version of this pattern for excellence. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was doing some brokering for an SEO company, SEO and pay-per-click company. They couldn't hire me, but they said they'd pay me for every lead or every client I brought in. And so I brought in a few clients for them pretty quickly. One of my clients, his name is Troy Nearings Plumbing and Heating. One of my first clients at Power Selling Pros, as a matter of fact. And he called me in and he said, "Hey, we need to have a talk." And I was like, "Oh, okay. What's going on?" So we sat down in his meeting room and he said, "Listen, we got to turn the SEO and pay-per-click off for now." And I said, "Well, why?" And he says, "Well, because my team doesn't really know how to book the calls that are coming in." Well, what kind of calls are coming in? He said, "Well, they just want a ballpark price. They just want to know what you charge to come out. They just want to talk to a technician." And I said, "Well, Troy, those are leads, my friend. Those are opportunities. You just got to train those guys. You got to train your team on how to handle those types of calls." And he said, "Well, I'm not sure my team knows how to do that, and I don't know who would train them." And then he said, "Do you have anybody in mind, Brigham?" And I said, I'll do it. I'll train them. I used to answer the phones for a company called Arctic Air in Chico, California. And I can do it. I can make it happen. I was very good at what I did. I was very good at that, answering phones way back when. And I wanted to keep the account. So he said, "Well, what do you plan on training them on?" And I pulled out this piece of paper with a circle on it. And it was all, I wrote it out with I mean, it's basically a piece of paper like this, right? And I just drew it out and I said, I'm going to train him on this. And Troy looked at that and was like, okay, I don't have a better idea. So let's go. So I started training them. Within a month, they had their call conversions up by 20%, which changed everything for them. They're keeping their technicians busy. They kept doing the advertising. It was great. Well, his buddy, Tom Robichaud, gave me a call. And Precision Plumbing, Heating in Boulder, Colorado. He said, hey, I hear you're working with Troy. I said, yep, I'm working with Troy. He says, hey, would you also like to train my team as well? I said, of course I'd love to do that, but I've got to do your advertising. And he said, well, I've got that covered, but I'll pay you to train my CSRs. I was like, okay, let's do it. Right? So fly over to Boulder, train his team. Within a month, he had the same experience, the same results that Troy was having. They got together and they said, hey, Brigham's onto something here. He's going to help our industry. Why don't we get him in touch with a guy by the name of Mike Agugliero, the owner of Gold Medal? And he also is the founder of CEO Warrior, right? So he started talking to me. We negotiated for about a day and a half. And he got my services for next to nothing, but he said, don't worry, I'm going to refer you to everybody and you're going to be very busy. And sure enough, we were busy. We had about 27 companies within 6 months that we were working with. I started hiring all my friends, Scott, and I don't have a lot of friends and we're all working together, right? So anyway, we now have over 1,000 trainees in our programs, including technicians and CSRs. And what we do is we monitor their calls, whether it's over the phone or in the home, and we provide feedback twice a month using their own phone calls. And of course, we can get into more specifics as far as what we teach them and how we teach them. But that's how Power Selling Pro started.
Awesome. Well, that is a phenomenal story. And I love the way that kind of what served you at that point ended up becoming kind of the blueprint for how to work with CSRs. I think a lot of these things in life, they tend to pattern themselves pretty well after each other. And I know you put out your book as well, kind of on the topic. Now, let me ask, when you're going into a group and you're first, getting a handle on how the situation currently goes, how are you assessing them against those kind of 8 standards and that kind of ideal that we have? What are some of the things you're initially looking for when you first start off with one of these groups?
Yeah. So whether it's CSRs or technicians, what they don't realize is that the first 30 to 50 seconds of your interaction with the homeowner or the phone in the home, what you do in that first 30 to 50 seconds ultimately determines the outcome. Okay. 99% of the time. So you've got to create an amazing first impression where they feel comfortable, they feel safe, the homeowner feels like you're a pretty cool person and that they would like to work with you. You've got to do that right out of the gate, right from the get-go. If you can do that, it changes everything. So what does that mean? What that requires is that you need to embody each of these principles, each of the 8 principles right out of the gate. So what are they? Well, we want to make sure that you're going to be super positive, super upbeat. We want to make sure that you're incredibly prepared. We want to make sure that you're very good at listening. We want to make sure that you're able to empathize with the customer, kind of be with them where they're at emotionally, right? Reassuring them that they've called the right place, right? That they're with the right people, asking the right questions, creating value, being grateful. So I have some step-by-steps that I'll show in just a minute, but let me just kind of share what I mean. Say a customer gets on the phone, they're looking for a ballpark price. They know their system's broken. They've already had a heating and cooling company talk to them about it, and they gave them a price, and they were basically sticker shocked and super uncomfortable with the technician that they were talking to or the comfort advisor they were talking to. And so they're calling around trying to see if they're getting swindled or what's going on here, right? Why is it going to be this price point, right? They're very uncomfortable. So they call in, they say, hey, I'm just going to call as many companies as I can and just get a feel for what the average system costs, because I just feel like I got the wool pulled over my eyes. You see what I'm saying? So they start calling. Hey, I'm looking for a ballpark price. Great. Tell me more about what's going on. Right? So the first thing I'm doing there, I'm showing them that I'm listening. Tell me more. Well, I've got this air conditioner and it's blowing hot air. I had a guy come out, gave me a price on a new system because I know the system's old and needs to be replaced. And he said it was going to be like $20,000. And I was really uncomfortable with that. So I asked him kindly to leave. And I started calling around because it's really hot in my house and I need to get it taken care of. Oh my gosh. Sounds like you've really been through it. Yeah, I've really been through it. Well, look, you've called the right place. We could totally help you. When would you like us out? Get you a price. Get you a second opinion. He's well, and then from there, we kind of take it from there, right? But our goal is to show him that we're listening, show him that we care, reassure him that he's called the right place right out of the gate, right? And so I'm going very specifically, tell me more. That's not good. I can help. Okay. Customer has three human emotional needs when they're first talking to you. They want to feel understood. They want to feel cared about. They want to feel reassured. You've got to do those things first. Okay, so over and over and over again, what we have is we have CSRs, instead of listening, instead of caring, instead of reassuring, what they do is they respond somewhat like this, without training, without practice. Hey, I'm looking for a ballpark price. Oh yeah, we don't give prices over the phone. We actually do that in the home. Oh, okay. Thanks, bye. Gone. Okay. The same is true when people call in and they say, hey, I need to talk to a technician. Oh, all of our technicians in the field. Okay, thanks, bye. Hey, what do you charge to come out? You know what? We charge X. Oh, okay. Thanks, bye. Gone. And I'd say 30 to 40% of your calls are that way. And when they're that way, even to a certain extent, as good as AI is becoming, also can't handle those types of calls. And one of the things you've got to deal with AI is that cancellations tend to go up because somebody gets somebody sooner, or the variables are different. You know, there's certain things that come into play where if a customer is truly trying to decide which company they should work with, the trust isn't there. And if the trust isn't there, they're not going to work with you. They're going to keep calling until they can call somebody or find somebody that they trust. All right. So that's the first objective. When they first get on the phone, they're shopping. Just accept that. And then your objective is to take them from shopping around to becoming the last call, right? You are the last call the homeowner makes. They're done shopping. That's the objective. Now, once you get into the home, it's a completely different story, right? Their mindset once you get in the home is, you know what? I just need to get by. Get this thing going so I can go on with my life, so I can get by, right? But your objective is to change that mindset and help them realize, you know what? You could be living a whole lot better than you're living right now. Here's how. Option. Those are all ways that you could be living better. So our goal is to change their mindset from getting by to actually living better, right? Where our goal is to enhance their quality of life, not just maintain it. And if we can help the CSR over the phone take great care of that customer and get them to be done shopping, as well as get the technician to help the homeowner see that they can actually live better, it changes everything for a heating and cooling company.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more that those first 30 to 50 seconds are absolutely key. And that's something we preach heavily at Contractor Commerce too, is that upfront interaction and then making sure that we're reaching out and taking them off of the market. Like you said, it's the last call. No need for them to be going further than us if we've given them the service that it is that they came there looking for. And you touched on it quickly there, but one question I've got for you, and curious what your take is on AI answering, AI CSRs. I know there's a lot of new solutions out. Broccoli, Avoca come to mind. I know there's more that I'm not naming there. What are your thoughts on those solutions? Do they have a place? Where is that place? And I guess more importantly, talking about real human CSRs and this really in-depth reaction, where does that really shine in this landscape?
Yeah, so they work in tandem. The reason why AI has been such a great solution is twofold. Number one, we have great CSRs that can answer every phone call that comes in, right? And we also have really bad CSRs, human live CSRs, that aren't performing at a consistently high level. And so for AI to take over for them, that's also really, really good, right? Those are the two places for AI. If you've got a team that won't perform at a high level, and you've got to ask yourself, why aren't they being trained? Why aren't you coaching them? Because if you have a live CSR, they're going to see things that the AI won't see. Okay, what does the AI do? The AI is programmed to do what it's programmed to do, which means it's unable to create a wow experience. Because a wow experience means you do the unexpected. Okay, so it'll always do what you expect it to do. That's what it's programmed to do. All right. But when you notice something with an individual customer, something that's unique to them, you can jump on that with your listening skills and your empathy and your reassurance. You can jump on that. You can create an amazing experience for them. So that's what this is all about. It's about teaching the people inside the organization that they are the most valuable asset a contractor has. It is a people business. It will always be a people business. Why? Because the homeowners are people and the people directly interacting with them are people, right? Technicians need to be willing to work like they work. Scott, it's not an easy thing. It's hard. And your objective is to make it fun over the phone, make it fun in the home to the point where your employees are so emotionally engaged and they're working collectively to grow the organization. All right. What that comes down to, growth in the organization, progress in the organization, comes down to winning a moment. Well, first, you got to be able to recognize that you're in a moment, right? Customer calls in and says, hey, you guys have been out to my home twice. My system still isn't working. Guess what? You're in a moment. And you better listen in that moment. You better reassure in that moment. You better empathize in that moment. You better set a plan for what you're going to do to make sure that you save that moment. Right? Same thing inside the customer's home. Let me just give you an example. So I'm getting ready to do a ride along with a technician named Braden. Braden's awesome. Okay, great technician, son of the owner of Reliance Heating and Cooling in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Braden and I are walking up to the door. We've got our floor savers in our pockets. We're about to put them on. I said, okay, what's the owner's name? He says his name's Brett. Cool. Name's Brett. And we knock on the door. Brett answers the door. Braden says, hi, I'm Braden. And you're Brett, is that right? And Brett says, yep, I'm Brett. And I said, and I'm Brigham. And together, we're the 3 Bs. Next thing you know, we all start busting a gut. We're inside the house. We're already looking at the different things inside the house. Come to find out, Brett works from home. He's got a conference call he's got to be on. And I said, oh, so is that the room you do most of your work in? He said, yep, that's my office. And I said, well, okay, how is it working from home? And we start talking about working from home and how hot that room is with all the computers and stuff inside that room. And I said, would you like us to provide options for that? He said, you know what? I would love for you to provide options for that. Sounds fantastic. And we start talking about how it's not his house right now. It's actually his dad's house, but he's going to buy it from his dad. And so he's a little skittish about spending money on a new system, even though he probably needs to get a new one. And he says, you know what? I've got to jump on a conference call. And I said, cool. What time's your conference call? And I look at my watch and he says, it's at like 10:30. And I said, and how long is that call going to be? So he's like, oh, it's probably going to be about 30 minutes. I said, you know what? We're probably going to take 40 minutes on the roof at least. We'll do a few videos and we'll kind of tell you exactly what's going on with your package unit up there. So why don't we plan on meeting back together right here in the kitchen as soon as you're done with that conference call? And he says, oh, hey, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. So sure enough, we go on the roof. We find out all the things that need to be fixed. I take a good look at my watch. It's 40 minutes after the conference call. So I said, all right, we've got our videos. We're ready to go. We go downstairs. We played the videos on silent as we narrate what's going on with this system, all the things that we're noticing. And then as we're narrating what's going on, we start to present all the options. What he's able to see there is that we have done a thorough inspection, right? We know exactly what's going on with the system. And after that thorough inspection, we're able to show him in the videos exactly where and what and how and why. And each of the videos are only about a minute long. So as we play them on silent, we kind of narrate what's going on. He's really engaged. He's kind of looking at the video, and Braden was smart. He brought an iPad and he's looking at the video, and we were showing back and forth exactly what's going on with the system. And then we start presenting these options naturally. And we had over 3 options, including getting it replaced, right? As a 4th option, we also talked about financing. And the guy's like, wow, this is really good. Here's the thing. I don't want to make a decision without my wife. She'd be really upset if I made a decision without her. And I said, sounds great. And I learned this really cool thing from Brian Burton. And I said, listen, hypothetically speaking, if you were to choose one of the options I presented today, which one would it be? And he said, you know what? The one I would choose is this one. And as he starts talking about it, and we just sit there in silence, right? Braden and I just sit. What's funny about this, Scott, is that Braden and I were talking about this very tool, right? Hypothetically speaking, the hypothetically speaking tool. We were talking about it in the morning, and Braden, although he heard me say it, he didn't buy it. He didn't think it was a good idea. He didn't think it would ever work with a homeowner. So then to watch me do it in real time, and so the guy's talking, and all of a sudden he starts talking himself into just doing it. You know what? My wife's going to be fine. I'm going to choose this option right here. It's going to be fine. And Braden's freaking out at this point. He's like, what the heck just happened? What kind of voodoo is this, right? He sent me a text afterwards saying, I don't know what kind of sorcery this is, but it absolutely worked, right? And so thank goodness I learned that really cool tool from Brian Burton. But it worked out well. I also mentioned that if Brett wanted to ever replace it, we'd take whatever he invested in the repair and put it towards a full replacement. And he says, you know what, we may want to replace it at some point soon too, and I'll keep that in mind. And if nothing else, my dad will take off the cost of the new system off the price of the house when I buy it from him. I was like, you know what, that's a great plan. But he talked himself into it, right? So what did we do? We naturally used everything you see here to create a wow experience for that homeowner. So why do I bring this up? It's that extra that AI is not programmed to do. So if we can get our CSRs in motion, it has never been more important to train a CSR and a technician to create a wow experience for the customer, because it is that extra. It is them recognizing the moment that they can positively affect and create a wow experience for the customer. And if we can do that over the phone in the home, even if the AI picks up the call and it books it, you want to call them right after and do 3 things. Hey, you booked with Shelly today. Let's say Shelly's the name of the AI, right? You booked with Shelly today. How was the experience? This is me, a live person, talking to the homeowner over the phone right now, right? Yeah, we had a great time with Shelly. She booked the call. Did you know that Shelly was AI? No way! I can't believe it was AI. Yeah, isn't that amazing? It was AI. Yeah, it's amazing how technology is these days. Wow, I was really impressed. I had no idea. Well, it looks like you were scheduled for tomorrow between 2 and 4. Is that right? Yes. And you like that time? Yeah, I like that time, even though I'd like it to be a little bit sooner. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I do have a technician in your area. He could be there in an hour. Oh, that would be amazing. What did I just do? I created an amazing experience right then and there. Now, let me tell you about this technician we're sending out. He's trained, he's certified, he's backed by our company. He's been around for the last 20 years. You're in great hands. He's going to come out, he's going to look at the scope of the work, he's going to determine exactly what you need, and he'll give you a price before he starts. So I just want you to know that you're in fantastic hands. Thank you so much for choosing Totally Awesome Heating and Cooling, right? And so you have ways to create amazing experiences over the phone and in the home in tandem with the technology. Now, let me tell you a caution. If you don't call those opportunities booked by AI, your cancellation rate will go up. Statistically, that is the truth. When AI books a call, cancellation rates go up. Why? Because it's a transaction. It's a transaction. It's not a relationship. It is still the human's job. And I hate that ever since AI came out, we're now calling our people humans. It's ridiculous, right? It's really sad that we have to do this, right? But our people, if they are being trained, if they are being held accountable, they will be able to evolve with the technology and create amazing experiences over the phone and in the home with a homeowner and work in tandem with this amazing AI. So there's a place for both, essentially, is my long answer to your short question, Scott.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And, the wow factor is really what splits them up. And I appreciate, not just wholesale, dismissing of AI, because it is incredible what it can do. And one thing that occurs to me is it's incredible at what it's incredible at, and it's not so good at the other things. So you're talking about after hours, you're talking about overflow. Obviously, it's a lot better than dropping a call. That's never okay. So, to that end. But then when it comes a little later in that sales process, and I'm thinking about some people that are working on my home today, trust is key. And I didn't go with the first team that we didn't trust, and it's something that you really have to build up in time. I'm curious. You talked about this relationship with this tech that you were just training. One thing that I hear a lot, and I'm curious to get your take on. Are technicians not the type who love selling? Is it because they're hands-on people, or is that just a rumor because they don't feel like they have, really been empowered to sell? Do you find that sometimes there's a little bit of having to take someone from a manual trades background and make sure that they're really speaking, the language you and I are in every day with selling and with persuasion?
They want to make a lot of money, but not at the expense of taking advantage of the homeowner. Okay? The most important thing to the technician is to do right by their boss and to do right by their homeowner and to go home at bed at night feeling good about what they did. I will tell you what a technician is, by and large. There are always exceptions, but by and large, technicians are heroes. Okay? They want to feel like heroes. They want to be heroes. They are heroes. And if you make them feel like a cheap salesperson, they're done with you. They're done with you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to hear any of your little tips or tricks. They want nothing to do with you because that's not who they are. So I don't ever say the word sales with CSRs or technicians. I simply focus on what a great customer experience looks like. Most technicians I work with, there are some exceptions, but most technicians I work with are very good at what they do. They can go in and they can help people and save the day. They're very good at that. The thing is that sometimes they're very good at solving problems. But it's not just solving problems that the homeowner wants. What the homeowner wants is to be understood. What they want is to feel that you care about them. What they want is to feel reassured that they've called the right place, that you are the right person. So much so that by the time you're done with the interaction, that they always call in and say, I want Billy, right? Or I want Jim, or I want Ted. Or I want even Sally at this point. I've met some really great female technicians as well that are coming out of the woodwork, and it's a beautiful thing. But here's what we do as technicians. All we need to do is we need to arm them with a set of 5 tools, and I'll just give you the 5 tools, right, that I like to teach a technician to help them create that amazing experience for the homeowner so they feel like they've called the right place without selling. Okay? Without selling. It's very simple. Number 1, you connect with them on an emotional level right out of the gate. Okay, you find a way, and it's got to be better than, oh, I see that picture on the wall. What's that all about? Don't do that, bro. It's got to be more sincere. It's got to be more genuine. They're going to see that right through that. Don't do that. Okay, you want to genuinely go in, very similar to the thing that I did with Brett. And now a technician might be going, I can't do that. I would not have the guts to say, and we are the 3 Bs. I know, bro, but you'll get there. You'll get there as you do these 3 things. I want you to just go in and say, hey, the CSR said that you've got, according to my notes, you've got an air conditioner that's blowing hot air. Tell me more. How long has it been doing that? Last couple of days. Oh my gosh. That hasn't been good. It's been over 100 degrees outside. Yeah, I know. It's been terrible. My son, he's 4 months old. He can't go without AC. Now he's opening up. That's what you want. Oh my gosh. Well, we can't have that. Right. So now I am in save the day mode. That's where I want to be as a technician. Right. I'm here saving the day for this 4-month-old kid, or the mother-in-law, or the wife with asthma, or Or, right? I am now in save the day mode because I set it up the right way. Tell me more. What's it doing? How long has it been doing that? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Well, look, you called the right place. Guess what? This is what I'm here for. This is what I do, right? Listen, care, reassure. You do that first. You connect with them on an emotional level. That's number one. Number two, earn the tour. Get them to come with you. Now, most technicians are like, oh, I don't want them with me at all. I can't think. Well, learn to think, bro. Because if they can see you working, you ever have somebody switch out a tire for you? And you're watching them switch out the tire, and all of a sudden you're feeling something. What is it that you're feeling as you're watching them serve you in that way? What are you feeling? What's the emotion?
Feeling gratitude for them and very thankful that they're putting in the work to solve my problem.
You feel warm at all as they're doing it? A little warm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And maybe even a little fuzzy, like, this is nice. This is really nice. Man, the guy's so nice. That's what you want. But if they aren't seeing you do that, right? If they're not seeing you pull out the filters, open up the furnace, taking a look at the blower motor, if they're not seeing that, they're not feeling that. And if they don't feel that, you're never going to invoke this thing called reciprocity. There's a beautiful word called reciprocity. The goal is for them to reciprocate the service. Okay. So you've got to do those things first. In order for them to feel that way, they've got to see it. So take them on the tour. Now, obviously, you're not going to put them in the attic. You're not going to put them in the crawl space, right? Homer's not going in the crawl space. They may go to the thermostat. They may go into different rooms and talk to you about what's going on inside those rooms, whether it's hot or cold areas, whether there's some kids dealing with asthma or what have you, or some allergies, right? As you walk around, you're going to notice some things. They're going to talk about some things. You might go out to the condenser. You might go down to the furnace. And all those places where they cannot go, say, for example, in the attic or in the crawl space, you pull out your phone and you do a little short video, and you point out the thing that you're doing, right? Let me show you real quick. It'll be fast. Okay. I do this all the time, but you can kind of see what's going on here, right? Doing a short little video, simple.
Get the idea. Yeah, we're walking through what's going on. And I love just this idea of, speaking about the technicians, and it's always been on my mind too. I think a lot of people regard sales as get that maximum ticket, fight. They think about the used car salesman. And I think that's the broad public perception. So I could see a lot of techs kind of being in that vein when they first start off. But one thing my father who was in sales always said, sales is actually problem solving. And to your point, it's problem solving with an element of save the day and really getting in there and working with them. So instead of people thinking about this ideal salesperson as the loud and verbose person, a lot of the times it's the person who listens the best. So being able to really feel them and get into that mode is a lot better than just being able to spray them down with features all the time. So I think that's an awesome element of kind of looking at that wow factor to start. I think you'd mentioned earlier some steps too, and I know we're getting closer to time here, so I just wanted to go back and ask again about that. Your general process, kind of walking them up through that. Was there anything else you wanted to share on that?
Love getting stuck in the weeds. I appreciate you bringing me back, Scott. So connect with them on an emotional level. Earn the tour. The places they can't go, do videos. And then number 3 is pull out your tools and do a thorough inspection. Make sure it's thorough. Okay. And do videos all along if they're not with you. When you get to number 4, you're going to present at least 4 options. If you don't provide options, and usually technicians, this is where they fail because they present one option and they're looking for a yes or no. That's a mistake. Instead of a yes or no, give them 4 options. Go for 4, even with a capacitor. Guys, check this out. You can sell a capacitor. You can sell a capacitor Turbo 2000. You can sell a Turbo 2000 with an extended warranty. Okay, those are 3 options right there, just with a capacitor. And chances are, if they need a capacitor, they're going to probably need 2 or 3 other parts. Okay, so at least 3 or 4 options, including financing. Okay, so 3 options, including financing, if you want to finance it, right? Now, chances are people won't even finance the capacitor. But if we start talking about other parts that probably need to replace because of the capacitor, financing is an option. Financing is an option that open the door for other options as well. Okay. And so you simply ask, which would you prefer? Or the Joe Chris era, what should we do? Doesn't matter. Okay. So that's number 4. Number 5 is get on base. Scott, you said something very interesting. You said that sometimes technicians are taught to swing for the fences. That is a mistake. Okay. Because when home run hitters swing for the fences, they miss more often than not. Okay. Our job is to get on base. This is the Oakland A's won the World Series. I think it was in that movie with the Brad Pitt. You know what I'm talking about? The Moneyball movie.
Mm-hmm. Moneyball. Yeah, that's it.
So they found a bunch of people that could get on base. They couldn't afford any of the heavy hitters. So they found a bunch of obscure baseball players that get on base. And so our objective to grow a very successful heating and cooling company is not necessarily to have a heavy hitter. That heavy hitter, you guys, that great comfort advisor, that great technician, those are the kind of guys that hose you over, and then they go and they start their own heating and cooling business, right? What you want are the people that can get on base, the people that will go into the house, present all the options, and they don't care which one the homeowner chooses. Get on base every time, never walk away empty-handed. If you do those 5 things, connect on an emotional level, earn the tour, do a thorough inspection, present at least 4 options, and get on base, you're going to be very successful as a technician.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And I love the idea of when we're creating this range of options, financing, capacitor, or whatever it is, instead of pitching one or pitching something very aggressive, all the time flipping it back to them, keeping them in that decision-making mode. So do you ever recommend 3, or is 4 you really feel that's a number to stick to?
Well, let me tell you where I got the 4. Ben Middleton at Dickinson did a huge case study, researched it like crazy, and he found out that 4 was better than 3. So ever since then, I said 4. Okay, I'm a student of this industry, and I learned a lot. I'm in about 50 different shops a year, Scott, working with technicians or CSRs. This is the first 2 weeks, so I've been home for the full week, which is why I'm talking to you. And I'm going to be a perpetual student, and everything I learn, I'm going to share with everybody else. And so that's where I got the 4 as opposed to 3. Ben Middleton.
Well, Ben Middleton's the man to follow. I mean, I hear his name come up all the time and really respected in the industry. And, that makes a lot of sense just in terms of giving them a really wide range. Well, I appreciate very much you taking some time out of the busy in-between period you're in right now and coming and talking with us about this. If somebody's looking to get in touch with you, power selling pros, they're looking to walk down this road, what are your first steps for them?
Yeah, just go to powersellingpros.com, POWERSELLINGPROS.com. And there's going to be a big old stamp on the front of the website that basically says, get a demo. Just click on get a demo, schedule with one of our a team member of mine, and let's talk about your needs and see if we can attend to those needs on the CSR side or the technician side.
Awesome. Well, I am sure that we will also include some links over to your content as we're getting this out for people. But I want to thank you very sincerely for being my first podcast appearance on Change Your Filter. I'm worried that we won't be able to get higher than that, but we are going to try for it. So appreciate you always bringing the energy. It's such a fun and positive conversation.
Love the opportunity, Scott. Thank you so much.